It's Jay here from Crypto Market Structure, and today we are looking at a couple of things, including the XinFin updates. Speaking to Crypto Mentor 99 right here. Welcome, and how are you doing, John?
Jay, it's good to hear your voice. Again, the highlight of my day, my week, my month are your Zoom calls and really talking to you personally. It's really been an honor,
Right.
really.
Hey,
Thank you.
that's great. That's great. And yeah, let's get going. And I'm keen to discuss a little bit about a little bit about what you're doing in Guatemala, and and a little bit about the plans that you're going there. Is that spring next year or
Yes, this is perfect. Yeah, I can see the map of Mexico and
right,
then Central America. Right.
right, right? And how long have you been heading to Guatemala and doing the course that you're doing
Sure.
here?
So about 10 years ago, a friend of mine, I mean, the short answer is 10 years, but a
Right.
friend of
Wow.
mine said, "Hey, do you want to go to Guatemala with me?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I'm like, "Is it a dangerous place?" And any place
Right.
is dangerous, but I'm with business people that show me
Mm.
around. So it's not
Right.
like, I mean, we're not, I'm sleeping in, you know, nice apartments and homes and
Mm.
stuff. And
Mm.
on one of the trips, a lady that's about my age, we drove about an hour and a half outside of Guatemala City,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a professional woman. Her husband, she's a widow now, but her husband, when he was living, was a doctor, and
Right.
so they've got some resources, and she and her husband basically adopted, for lack of a better word, not
Mm.
legally, this
Mm.
village of people that literally live on the side of a mountain.
Right.
So her husband passed away. They still have the medical clinic. Obviously, he's not involved because he's passed away.
Mm.
So I mean, she doesn't have unlimited resources to fund
Sure.
everything that goes on in the village, but there's like a school. So every year when we go down there, it's
Mm.
just kind of random. Like one year we bought 100 water filters for every family to finally be drinking clean water. The
Nice.
last number I heard, 90% of the water in Guatemala is like contaminated in some way, shape, or form.
Mm.
But we just get real I'm not a fancy guy in real life, so
Right.
we we bring clothes for the kids that we buy everything down there. So I take cash down there and we buy like shoes for the kids at 10 bucks a
Mm-hmm.
piece, soccer balls for the boys in the village at 3 bucks,
Right.
dolls for the girls are a dollar,
Mm.
mixing bowls for the women for a dollar. I mean, it's not, you get a big bang for your dollar down there. So
Mm-hmm.
for those of you listening, I just gently asked Jay, I'm like, hey, let's talk about XinFin, but could I give a shameless plug for the trip
Right.
I'm taking in the spring of 2021? And he's
Mm.
like, here, we'll kind of start with that. So again, it's a real place. It's a wonderful, Guatemala is the northernmost country in Central America. And
Right.
we speak like 1% Spanish, but I've got lots of Guatemalans that were college educated in the United
Mm-hmm.
States that walk around with me to speak English, or yeah, to do my translation for me. So it's been a real honor to get to know some of the people in the village, because
Right.
some of the girls that were 15 are now 25, married, having children. So when I
Mm.
go to the village, it's just a real special time for me.
Right. That's amazing. Um, for doing this for more than 10 years now. That's really great. Um, if there's a 30 seconds around, how is the culture like, the people like over there, for people like me who has not been to Guatemala before,
Sure.
how are they like? Yeah.
They are now. So my little disclaimer: I've been to Mexico,
Right.
I've been to Cuba or
Mm.
Cuba. I've been to but
Right.
hands down, Guatemalans are the most friendly, gentle, kind people.
Mm.
And even the Guatemalans would say, "Hey, we love Honduras, we love El Salvador."
Hmm.
but we're kind of the friendly bunch in South in Central
Right.
America, you know.
Right.
And it's really true there, you know, whether there's this family that I stay with, and the boys are like 40 years old, they're married,
Hmm.
and they're from the same family. If I didn't say that, sorry, they're
Hmm.
brothers, and they're both Olympians. They ran track and
Wow.
field in the 2000 Sydney Olympics,
Hmm.
and they're the most humble guys you'd ever want to meet. They don't go around bragging like, "Hey, when I was, a
Right.
young man, I was an Olympic,
Hmm.
track and field runner." And whether
Hmm.
someone's a doctor, a lawyer, or the people in the village, they're approachable, and
Mm.
they're just really, really special people to me. And they're
Mm.
super friendly, and they want to
Right.
practice English on you.
Right. Right. Yeah, it sounds like a place that I want to visit someday. I'll get some tips, traveling tips from you over there for sure. Sounds good. Yeah. How do you do that, John, to donate to you?
Sure. The easiest way that I found, I mean, I really appreciate when people want to send me some cryptocurrency, but when they're
Hmm.
sending, and I, again, I hate to be, I'm not trying to be negative, but when they send smaller amounts like five,
Mm. Mm.
$10 of Bitcoin, by the time I convert it and it goes to my bank account, it's like,
Right.
you know, it's like nothing basically.
Right. Yeah.
So I've got a dedicated PayPal account.
Hmm.
And again, I'm legitimate, been doing it for 10 years. All the money's going to go down there. And it's just my
Right.
email address, cryptomentor99@yahoo.com. And then no matter where you are in the world, obviously, if you're not familiar with PayPal, I can convert that to US funds and just do a bank transfer
Hmm.
down to my lady friend Sandra,
Right.
who's was the lady whose husband passed away that was a doctor. So again, it's
Hmm.
all above board. Last year, or no, this year when I went in February, one of my YouTube subscribers who's a physician in
Hmm.
Oklahoma went with me. So he
Right.
gave physicals to everybody in the village, and I got to meet Dr. Jeff. It was wonderful. So I've got a million videos on YouTube of me being there, handed out
Hmm.
shoes and
Hmm.
toothbrushes and toothpaste. But yeah, I think just to keep it simple, Jay, just
Right.
PayPal
So
at cryptomentor99@yahoo.com.
nice. All right, we'll put a link and a description over here for sure, and so that people will make sure that people can reach out to you. And obviously, we are linked together in Twitter. So
Yes,
the
thank
some of
you.
the best way to get to you would either be your email itself, which is cryptomentor99@yahoo.com, or just come to the Twitter. And for those Twitter members, can follow you and get in contact with you.
Sure, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I will definitely be donating. Hopefully, the listeners will do some as well. That's good. We'll get over to the next topic, which is on the crypto market. And I guess right now, a lot of people, well, crypto investors would be they are aware that Bitcoin is actually pushing up. But yeah, in reference to some of your experience back in 2016 and 2017, um, John, do you sense something similar back those days compared to where we are today, from a market situation? Yeah, where do you see we are from a overall sentiment point of view compared to 2016 and 17?
Sure. Thanks, Jay.
Mm.
I feel like in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's when I got involved in crypto. So I'm still a baby,
Right.
even though I'm 62 years old. Again, I don't consider myself an expert or been there, done that. So I always want to be
Mm-hmm.
learning. But I feel like back in 2017, specifically, all my remarks are going to be uh, on XinFin. No
Mm-hmm.
one really knew about it.
Right.
And it, I guess I just tell people I was fortunate to have stumbled across XinFin. And
Mm-hmm.
full disclosure, it was my first ICO that I actually bought into.
Right.
A lot of, I mean, there's still a lot of immaturity on social media. Not that I'm
Mm-hmm.
referring that just to XinFin, but it was just so new to me and to so many people that didn't know about XinFin that I just started
Mm.
doing YouTube videos on XinFin.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't talk to any of the leaders. I didn't say, hey, could you pay me to do videos? I'm like, hey, man,
Mm.
I really like this project. And I
Mm.
think they were surprised because
Right.
most of the team, well, back then, they've
Right.
expanded a lot, were from India, even though they were
Mm.
based in Singapore.
Right.
And I got to know some of the leaders. I don't want to drift off in answering your question. I
Sure.
got to know a little bit some of the leaders, not up close and personal, but I got to know XinFin more from the leaders doing the YouTube videos.
Right.
And tell me if I'm not answering your question. They were,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I love trying to understand people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I don't know if this is the Indian culture. They
Mm.
were they they never hyped anything. They never
Mm-hmm.
said like on social media that they never said, "Hey, we're working with, 7 companies for
Mm.
partnership. Check back with
Mm.
us in 6 months." And then you're left wondering, well, who are they partnering with? Once they had an official partnership, then they announced it, you know.
Right.
So it wasn't a lot of, oh,
Mm-hmm.
follow us on
Hype.
Twitter because it was just, I'm like, wow, and then again, like I said, I got to know some of the co-founders, again, not personally, but
Mm-hmm.
they just seemed, maybe this doesn't make sense to some of the listeners, but I
Mm.
mean, I'll invest in just about anything if it's legal, but I got to know the team. I got to
Yeah.
get to know them. And even you, Jay, again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a shout out. I mean, when I found you, it was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there's a guy on Twitter that's got a trading group. Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there's 10,000, not literally,
That's true.
10,000 trading groups out there. Who's this Jay? Where's
Mm.
Australia? No, the
Mm.
guy's in Australia. But even as I got to know you, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this guy is sincere. You've made
Mm.
reference to your family on a few occasions. I'm like, this is a
Right.
regular guy just like me. And then
It
during
is.
our one-on-one sessions,
Mm-hmm.
so I would just translate and say, that's the way I feel. So I've got a real love and appreciation for you. And it's like,
Right.
that's the way I feel without getting weird. That's the way I feel with XinFin. But again,
Mm-hmm.
I my own due diligence, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
the people now, and again, I'm
Mm.
way off of social media, but it's the crowd, the XinFin crowd has matured a lot.
Mm.
So have
Mm.
I.
Mm.
And you're not getting a lot of goofy people on Telegram, which is
Okay.
where my go-to spot is pretty much
Mm.
for XinFin
Right.
these days. And there's some guys that have been around since 2017 that I don't know
Mm.
where they're from in the world, but they're really sharp guys and gals
Mm.
that teach
Mm.
me a lot, um, even like last week, someone shared something like, man, I didn't know that. So I'm not following XinFin day to day, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, I think the community and the project has really matured and they've got a boatload more partnerships, obviously, or maybe not obviously, than they did in
Right.
2017.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it definitely shows up in the chart. Obviously it's doing quite well. And, when you first joined a couple of months back, we spoke, and I spoke with confidence that, hey, Zinfin's going to go up. And obviously it has been going up. But it does reflect, I think, what you are talking about, some of the fundamentals and the good work that they have done since 2017. Okay.
can
Yeah.
I add one more thing, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
So when I started my YouTube channel, I love to give credit to other
Right.
people that are smarter than me, and you're obviously one of them. I've got
Mm.
and I don't want to embarrass them, but I've got
Mm.
a Medium article from our own Stephen Pickering,
Yes.
and it's from May the 21st of this year, and it
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm holding it in my hands, and it
Yes.
said, "Understanding XinFin." And again, I'm not trying to do hype, it's just the facts. So he wrote this
Mm-hmm.
in May. Excellent article. It's like 4
Mm,
pages. And on the second page, Stephen writes, again, this is written in May 21st. On
mm-hmm.
the second page, top paragraph, he says, since mid-March 2020 to the time of this writing, so from March to May,
Mm,
XinFin gone up almost 1,000%.
mm,
So again, I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to be here 30 years from now, but
sure.
I think it's a smaller project that a lot of people are like, oh, great, another ICO. But this
Mm,
article that Stephen wrote is A plus.
mm,
And I just wanted to
yeah,
give him credit for that.
right. Excellent. Yeah, and we spoke about this before, saying that my moonshot one projection at 2.5 cents, that hasn't changed. It's obviously creeping up, and I think it's going to be there in the next couple of months. So, yeah. Is there a highlight, a recent highlight in regards to XinFin that people like me who doesn't follow XinFin too closely would need to know in terms of some recent news?
Sure. Can I just give you two quick bullet points?
All right, let's
Or,
do
I
two
mean,
quick
just
bullet
maybe.
points.
So the first one, which again, I made my confession or my disclaimer a couple minutes ago. I'm not following XinFin like day to day like I did in the early days, but on
Right.
October 1st, they came out with an article on their website, and they have something, again, just because it's of interest to me doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
it's of interest to everybody,
Sure.
but they have something that's called a standby node. So
Mm-hmm.
STAND hyphen BY, a standby
Mm-hmm.
node. And
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that name until
Right.
read the article. And if you can't already imagine, it's a node that exists to replace a permanent node. I think they've got like 108 or 110. I don't know
Mm.
how the node fails. That's above my pay grade. But if
Sure.
one goes down for whatever reason, the standby node, for lack of a better word, takes its
Mm.
place. And again, I don't follow a lot of projects day by day or day to day, but
Sure.
that's the first time, Jay, I had heard that word.
Mm.
So do you know if that's commonplace with other projects or specific to XinFin? Have you heard of that?
Um, no,
Backup.
I've not heard about that, but the concept obviously is not new. I mean, obviously XinFin is in relation to financial transfer transaction. So having a standby or backup you know, would be fairly common to find, even in any banking industry. So having a backup.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that sounds like a good a good system to ensure that the node doesn't go down. I mean, if it does, there's a backup. So that sounds good. Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
And the
Yes.
second one, it came up. So you know how we have your Zoom calls with you, Jay, and I'm
Yeah.
taking notes and then I rewrite my notes and I've got my
Yes.
strategy.
Yes.
So you started talking about Chainlink not
Mm-hmm.
early on, but relatively recent for me, even though I listen, I go back and listen to all the Zoom calls like I'm crazy, like 2 and 3 times.
Mm.
Um, and I'm like, Chainlink, yeah, Jay's mentioned that. Where have I heard Chainlink? Well, I went back to September and XinFin um, announced, I guess that's the way that we would say it, announced a partnership again, for lack of a
Right.
better word, with Chainlink. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So I don't
Mm.
know anything more than what I just said,
Yeah.
but definitely, I'm like, oh, those are my two buddies, Infin and now Chainlink.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought it was interesting that once you started
Okay.
talking about Chainlink, it's like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, Infin's got a little dance
Yeah.
partner in Chainlink. So
Yes.
I didn't know where that's going to
I
lead, but anyhow.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, and I don't remember, but yeah, right. I did hear that partnership, if I recollect well. And I thought, huh, interesting, nice, and then I move on. So, um, in a way, any coins that partners with another, it's just like Lego pieces, helping out transaction between both parties, and it's definitely positive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I look at it. Fantastic. Yeah. So XinFin is looking really positive here, based on the pattern that I'm looking at. It's not too far away from the all-time high, which is about 1.8 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm looking at the resistance level, and obviously those major resistance levels are key. And there are only two of them currently. One is the all-time high, and one is just below it. So, as I was looking and compare the patterns, with other coins, one scenario I can see is most likely it's going to hang around here for a while, before it actually, um, you know, accumulates enough to push up, and it hit this resistance level. There are two scenarios that we can see. So one is it could hit this one, and sort of bounce down, because that's what happens when you hit a resistance. And most likely this scenario will be the one to look at, and then obviously you hit the 2.5 cents and above before it actually comes back down to touch the retest the all-time high. So this would be the scenario that I'm looking at in terms of forecasting XinFin. If people are asking, is it ever going to come back down to 4 cents? Um, it's unlikely, I think. But hey, anything is possible. But that's not the case that I'm looking at. I do think that XinFin will hold its ground at about 0.006 to 0.007, that range, quite well, before it actually push up, and completes its moonshot one. Obviously, we spoke about moonshot one by the end of the year, and we are fairly close. There's only 2 months until December, and the new year is coming. So it should be hitting the 2.5 cents by end of the year. So that's pretty exciting. Um, is that something you're looking forward,
Yes,
John?
believe me. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one of the things, again, I mean, I want to brag on you for another 3 minutes or 2 minutes. I mean, I was a hodler. When
Right,
I first saw the word hodl, I thought it was hodl, like I'm a
right.
hodler. And then someone's like, no, you knucklehead, that's hot. Like, okay.
Yeah,
But then once I joined crypto market structure, I'm
right.
like, why did I think that buy and hold, again, in my immaturity, even though I'm
Hmm.
62, why did I
Right.
think that was such a great strategy? Now, again, I'm not a trader per se, but
Hmm.
like you talked about the high velocity coins and the rotations, I'm like, Jay is a genius. I should have found him, jokingly back in 2017 when my
Sure.
portfolio went up 15 to 18x and I was scared because I had no idea what I was doing, you know?
Right. Sure.
So this time,
Yeah.
moonshot one, sell, ride it back up. Moonshot two, it's like, again,
Yeah.
what a strategy. How unique.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's never a bad idea to take some profit off 2.5 cents,
Yeah.
if and I think, you know, people like you and people who have been holding XinFin for a long time, you should always reward yourself at a major milestone like this, where you take some money off the table, and that's always something we recommend to investors, just to and it might be Christmas or New Year, take some reward out and go do something nice.
Yeah, that's
Um, yeah, because there's always a moonshot two coming up, and I'll just quickly draw this just to provide the XinFin investors around what I'm looking at. So as far as Moonshot 2 after that, which obviously is next year, um, around 40 cents each would be a good view, a good target. So Moonshot 2, what is this? Around 40 cents would be something that I'm looking at. So that would be fairly reasonable. And we'll probably be looking at it sometime in April next year, maybe around there, mid of the year, heading to. Is that summer in US in around April? Is that what you call
That's kind of the start, right?
the start?
That's
Right.
late spring, but yes, I mean, right.
Yeah. Okay. Late spring heading to summer. That's where XinFin should be hitting around 40 cents. And yeah, if we were to buy at the correction, going down, and let's just do an estimate. So I have here about 40 cents divided by, say, if we get in, get back in at whichever, 2 cents or 1.7, around, let's just say even around 2 cents, right? It's still going to be around 20x rotation hitting up for Moonshot 2.
Wow.
So yeah, so take some money out, maybe 2.5 cents, 2.7 cents around there, and come back down and buy it at another 2 cents or less, and then ride it all the way back up to Moonshot 2. So yeah, that's my view as far as the market structure goes. Pretty exciting times. I just say, hang in there. It looks fairly volatile as usual in the crypto market, and that's just how the nature of the beast is. But it's definitely looking very strong, I think. This move here, the recent push up, to be honest, I did not expect that to happen so quickly. So maybe there's something that's happening in XinFin that I'm not aware of. But it's looking fairly bullish. I wasn't anticipating this move out. I was thinking, hey, it's gonna hang around here on the first move for a while. I think I told you that. And then the next thing I saw it just push up, and I go, okay, I can see what it's trying to do now. So yeah, do watch out. 2.5 cents coming up end of the year, and we'll keep track of this. Yeah,
So
exciting
Jake,
stuff.
can I ask you a question?
Hmm.
Um, so obviously I don't know the answer to this. If I did, I wouldn't be asking. Is this a true statement that
Mm,
once for any project that you go over on these Zoom calls? So let's
yes.
say for XinFin, is it true, or am I imagining that once Moonshot One happens, you
Hmm.
have a more clear picture with more clarity on what Moonshot 2 price is going to be? Is that a true statement, or did I make that up?
No, that's a true statement. Yeah,
Okay,
because Moonshot One, like right now, is just an estimate, right? We know it's going to hit 2.5, most likely. Now, whether it's going to come back down to 2 cents or below, that is something we will have to look at price action in a much more closer manner. So, yeah, if it comes back down to say 1.5 cents, let's just say. So this box here would have to then move down to 1.5 cents, right? And
right.
then we have to adjust upwards to make sure that the box remains to be the same. And in this case, you can see that the profit would come down to what, 35 cents, from 40 cents to
Oh,
35
okay,
cents.
okay,
So it does move. Like for example, if it goes down even more, which it had to let's say 1.3 cents, if the correction comes back down, then we have to put the box here. And what it means is, this size of the box will reduce down to 32 cents on the top there. So you're right that it does depend on how Moonshot One corrects, how far it corrects, and from there we will be able to get a better view around where the Moonshot 2 is. Yeah,
so is that the same? The correction on Moonshot 2 will dictate where Moonshot 3 is that the same scenario then?
it will be the same scenario. Yes,
Wow,
yes.
okay, so it's not the Moonshot 1 high, it's the Moonshot 1 retracement going to Moonshot 2 that determines what Moonshot 2 is going to be, correct?
Yeah, that's one factor. The other one is how
Oh, okay.
high the Moonshot One is. So there are two factors. So one is how high does Moonshot One goes. The second question is how much correction does Moonshot One has.
Okay.
So those two are the key factors.
Okay.
And once that is cleared, then we can see where Moonshot 2 is very clearly.
Okay.
Yeah. And the same with Moonshot 3. Once Moonshot 2 has established itself, we would have the Moonshot 3 target very clearly. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right. I think that's it for my update. I'm sure XinFin will do very well moving into the future. I'm sure people will find this interesting, and as usual, they can reach out to you if there's anything. Is there anything else, John, we need to add on your side?
Yeah. Could I just add one thing? The number
Mhm.
one question I get, which
Right.
is some of you may be surprised what my number one question that I get on Twitter,
Yeah.
direct messages. The number one question I get, where can I buy XinFin at? So number one, I'm like, where do you buy XinFin at? Maybe you don't know where CoinMarketCap is. So I want to direct everybody, to CoinMarketCap,
Mm-hmm.
number one.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
secondly, and this is again, I'm not getting paid to say this.
Mm-hmm.
XinFin, so whether you like this or not, this is just kind of the way it is. XinFin has their own, I don't want to say their own. XinFin, some of the leaders have an exchange, okay,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that sells the tokens. It's called Alpha X.
Yeah.
So it's ALPHAEX.net, alphax.net. And not that many people know about it. I've
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not saying this because no one's paying me to say this. I've
Yep.
had nothing. And look at the pairs: XDC,
Mm-hmm.
XRP, XDC,
Mm-hmm.
BTC, XDC, Ethereum. Anyhow, I've
Right.
had nothing. I would give them a 10-star review. Now,
Right.
if you go on Twitter or Telegram, some people are like, this stinks. It's the worst exchange. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why I've had two thumbs up experiences with them. Like, in other
Right.
words, I think I've used them 6, maybe 7 times, and
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely no complaints. But all
Mm-hmm.
that to say, the only reason I mentioned Alpha X, they're associated with XinFin, which I like, because if you have
Mm.
a problem, you could go to XinFin's Telegram and they're going to help you.
Right.
But
Okay.
secondly, they're not listed, and I don't know why. Maybe I don't need to know why. They're not, they meaning Alpha X is not, NOT is not listed on CoinMarketCap on where to buy XinFin. I don't know why.
Right. Hmm.
I don't know why.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So,
And let's have a look.
right. So if
Yeah.
you, yeah, Jay, you know where you're going. So if you
Yeah.
click on market pairs,
That's right.
you're not going to find Alpha X, which
Yeah.
you don't need to use them, or it wasn't on there
Right.
last night.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I have,
Um.
maybe they didn't pay CoinMarketCap to be on there. I have no idea.
I think so. Right. They could be competitors over there. So.
So again,
Yeah.
do due diligence, but I've had, and I don't know anybody there. It's not like, well, they give you special treatment. They don't even know my real name from Crypto
Sure.
Mentor 99. So but I've had, like I said, 6, 7, maybe 8 transactions, and it's
Mm-hmm.
been A plus. So I'll
Right.
just end with that.
Nice, nice. So there you go, alphax.net. That's where you buy. Or you can come and check out in CoinMarketCap,
Yeah, for
around
sure.
what other exchange that you might want to use. And obviously BitTrue is the big one where you can get, but hey, like John says, you can get from AlphaX.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, I think that ends the session updates, and hopefully we'll see in the next month or two, we'll see where we are at. I'm sure we'll be checking back in once XinFin hits close to the all-time high. What do you say, John?
Yeah, sounds good. And
All right.
everybody out there, every crypto mentor has a crypto mentor. Crypto Mentor 99 has a crypto mentor. His name's Jay.
Hey,
Crypto
thanks for the
market
shout out.
structure.
Excellent. All right. Fantastic. Yeah. So thanks, guys, for listening in, and we'll just stop the recording here.
Thanks, Jay.